to the Bandano Podcast, where we're calling a spade. Great to be here with you guys today. What did I just watch? What happened? Where was all the transition offense from yesterday? Where was all the team ball from yesterday? Non-existent today.
What you just heard was a podcaster watching a Team USA basketball game completely lose his mind. And honestly, he wasn't wrong. Because something happened between Game 1 and Game 2 that completely flipped the script. The most exciting player in women's basketball suddenly became an afterthought. In Game 1, Caitlin Clark was everywhere, pushing the pace, creating transition, throwing highlight passes, and completely controlling the flow of the game. She looked unstoppable. But then Game 2 happened. Almost overnight, Clark went from dominating the court to standing on the perimeter, watching the offense run through Paige Bueckers and Angel Reese. No fast breaks. No takeover moments. No Clark magic. So the question everyone started asking was simple: what exactly changed overnight? And how did the most electric player on Team USA suddenly become a spectator in her own game?
Calculating here. Kara Lawson, preparing for today's game. She got tapped on the shoulder. Tap, tap, tap. She looked behind her, and there she was, staring at Kara Lawson. Stephanie White. And you know what Stephanie White said? Slow it down, coach. Slow it down. You see all the publicity Caitlin Clark's getting today? Did you see the news? Everybody's talking about Caitlin Clark. We can't have that. The transition offense, Caitlin Clark making passes that nobody in the league has ever seen before. We can't have that. Slow it down, Kara Lawson. Switch it up. We got to make everybody else shine. We don't want her. Everybody else.
That theory might sound a little extreme at first, but when you actually look at the numbers from Game 2, things start to feel different. Caitlin Clark played 16 minutes in the first half and didn't record a single assist. Not one. Think about that for a second. The best passer in women's basketball, surrounded by elite talent, goes 2 full quarters without setting up a single basket. That's not just a cold stretch. That's an entirely different offensive system. And that's where the story gets interesting. Sitting in the building that night was Stephanie White, the newly appointed head coach of the Indiana Fever. She's been very clear about the style of basketball she wants to play. A slower pace, more structured sets, and an offense designed to spread touches across the roster. Sound familiar? Because if that philosophy sounds different from a free-flowing, transition-heavy style that allows Clark to dominate, that's exactly the point. Suddenly, the Game 2 offense looked less like the chaos Clark thrives in and more like the controlled system White has been talking about building.
Paige Bueckers in the starting line. Let's get right into it. Please like the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below and subscribe to the channel. Caitlin Clark tonight, 16 minutes, 8 points, 3 rebounds. Team USA wins. The starting lineup for today's game: we had Monique Billings, Paige Bueckers, Chelsea Gray, Kiki Iriefin, and Kelsey Plum.
The box score from that game tells a story all by itself. Paige Bueckers led the team with 16 points. Angel Reese added another double-double. Kelsey Plum chipped in 12. And then there was Caitlin Clark. Clark finished the game with just 8 points on 2 for 6 shooting, along with 3 rebounds and 3 assists against Puerto Rico women's national basketball team. For a player known for controlling the entire pace of a game, those numbers felt unusually quiet. But the starting lineup might reveal even more about what was happening. The opening 5 featured Monique Billings, Paige Bueckers, Chelsea Gray, Kiki Iriefin, and Kelsey Plum. That lineup choice raised a lot of eyebrows. Gray, who's been working her way back from injury, played 16 minutes and finished with just 1 point and 4 assists. 1 point in 16 minutes. Yet she was still in the starting unit while Clark, one of the most dynamic playmakers in the game, was coming off the bench. And that's the moment when fans started asking the obvious question: was this just a normal coaching decision, or was there a bigger shift happening in how this team wanted to run its offense?
If Puerto Rico was a halfway decent team, it would have been a 10-point game. If Puerto Rico was a halfway decent team, it would have been a 10-point game. Playing iso ball out there, cock copper, I don't see you. Angel Reese, yeah, I'm dribbling right by you. A lot of bloopies today. but we're trying to be nice. It's Team USA basketball. We're gonna calm down a little bit. Chelsea Gray looks still slow. De'Arica Hamby missing. Where's the pick and roll with Caitlin Clark on the floor?
Now, let's talk about what actually happened on the court, because the style of play looked completely different from game one. The fast break chaos that made Caitlin Clark a household name was suddenly gone. The full court laser she's famous for, the passes that almost nobody else in the game can make, barely showed up at all. Instead, the offense slowed to crawl. Possession after possession turned into methodical half-court sets where the ball stuck in players' hands and the pace completely disappeared. And there was one moment that perfectly captured the frustration. At one point, Angel Reese brought the ball up the floor while Clark was wide open, calling for it. Reese dribbled right past her, ignored the pass, and seconds later possession ended in a turnover. It was the kind of sequence that immediately got people talking. Because when a generational playmaker is standing open and doesn't get the ball, fans start wondering, is this just a broken play, or is something bigger happening behind the scenes?
Ray Burrell, shout out to Ray Burrell. I'm telling you, the Fever, if there's two players I want, Ray Burrell and Azurá Stevens, as far as role players go, complementary pieces to Caitlin Clark. Ray Burrell finishes around the rim. She's athletic, she's long, she's lengthy. She's good on defense. She can finish. She can create her own shot from time to time. Nice pass from CC to Ray Burrell. Finally,
even with all of that happening, Caitlin Clark still managed to deliver one moment that reminded everyone exactly who she is. Late in the game, she fired a perfect full-court pass to Ray Burrell, who finished at the rim. Just like that, one pass, one play, an entire gym woke up. That's the kind of moment that pulls millions of people into women's basketball. The kind of highlight that shattered viewership records all season. The signature Clark play. But in this game, it happened exactly once. The rest of the time, Clark was mostly parked in the corner, watching other players control the ball while the offense ran without her. And then there was the moment that said everything. At one point, she seemed to decide she'd had enough. Clark dribbled between her legs, stepped back from deep, and launched a three. Bang. No elaborate set. No play call. Just a superstar creating something out of frustration. Because sometimes when a generational playmaker isn't being used, she reminds everyone what happens when she decides to take over herself.
Caitlin with the steal and score. Now this was nice. This actually showed off Caitlin Clark's speed. She beat the defender, got hit in the head, no flagrant call, it is what it is. But read the passing lane well, jumped it, whoop, let me swoop in there. Coast to coast. A solid defensive play from Caitlin, and she turned on the Jets, showing you she's...
Then there was a steal and score that reminded everyone just how explosive Caitlin Clark can be. She jumped the passing lane, took a hit to the head with no flagrant call, and still pushed the ball coast to coast to finish the play. One sequence, defense, speed, and pure determination. And it revealed something people don't talk about enough. Clark is legitimately fast. Not just quick with the ball in her hands, but straight line fast. When she gets a lane, she can blow past defenders like they're standing still. But that kind of play only happens under one condition: freedom. It requires the green light to push the pace, attack in transition, and make split-second decisions with the ball. And in Game 2, that freedom looked like it had been taken away.
Getting blocked again. Yeah, it was rough out here today. It was a rough game. From an entertaining standpoint, it was rough. From an exciting standpoint, it was rough. Paige Becker's the leading scorer with 16 points. Paige, she played good. I can't, I'm not hating it. She's just not exciting. Kelsey Plum, 12 points. De'Arica Hamby, 2 points. Ka Copper, 6 points. Ka Copper, folks, Ka Copper's a massive ball hawk. I don't know what else to tell you.
The fan reaction was brutal. Social media lit up almost immediately, with fans tearing into Team USA over the starting lineup decision. The biggest question kept coming up again and again. Why is Chelsea Gray still starting when she's clearly still working her way back into rhythm? And right behind that question was another one. Why lean on veteran point guards when one of the most exciting young stars in the sport, Caitlin Clark, is sitting there ready to run the offense? Some fans even started making comparisons to the men's game. They argued that Team USA would never bench generational superstars like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, or LeBron James during their prime years. But that comparison might actually miss the bigger point. because this situation may not just be about evaluating talent. If the only goal was maximizing offense and winning comfortably against teams like Puerto Rico women's national basketball team, many fans believe Clark will be the one running the show. Instead, what some people think they're seeing is something different. An effort to establish a hierarchy, a system where roles are clearly defined and every player understands where they fit.
You guys don't expect CC to see the ball again. Chelsea Gray played 16 minutes, 1 point, 4 assists. 16 minutes. It felt like Chelsea Gray was barely on the floor. To me, that's the impact she had. To me, it felt like she was barely on the floor. Angel Reese with a double-double. That's what it was. Caitlin had her day yesterday. Paige and Angel had their day today. You can't help but to think like there's conspiracies going on. You just can't help it. It's just so blatantly obvious at times. Just like, this seems weird. And Ryan Howard suddenly goes from 21 points to 5 points. 2 for 7. Ray Burrell, 4 points, 1 for 2. In 10 minutes of play. Played the whole entire fourth quarter, Ray Burrell. Caitlin Clark, 2 for 6. 1 for 5 from the 3-point line. Again, she missed her 3-point shots. A couple of them open. You'd hope
She
that
is
she
to
makes
bench your biggest star and run a slow, methodical offense. From a marketing standpoint, that's a huge gamble. To be fair, Chelsea Gray is an incredible player. She's a champion with elite basketball IQ. And when she's healthy, she's one of the best point guards in the game. But in this game, she played 16 minutes and was nearly invisible, finishing with just 1 point and 4 assists. Meanwhile, Clark was coming off the bench. You can see why fans are struggling to make sense of that. Now, the conspiracy theory floating around that Stephanie White is secretly influencing coaching decisions might be exaggerated, but the underlying debate is very real. There's clearly a philosophical divide about how to use Caitlin Clark. And right now, the side that wants to limit her dominance seems to be winning. Look at the pattern. In Game 1, Clark played freely, pushed the pace, and facilitated the offense. The team looked dynamic, and everyone benefited. In Game 2, the system changed. Clark spent long stretches standing in the corner. Other players became the focal points, and the offense lost its rhythm. That doesn't feel like random variation. It feels intentional, which leads to the bigger question. Is this what the Fever will look like next season? Because if Stephanie White installs the same philosophy in Indiana, there could be a lot of frustrated fans. People didn't fall in love with Caitlin Clark because she's a quiet role player who makes the safe pass. They fell in love with her because she's a game-changing superstar who does things nobody else in the sport can do. And when you take that away, when you force her into a system that limits her greatest strengths, you're not just affecting one player. You might be slowing down the growth of the entire league. So what do you think? Are fans overreacting to one exhibition game? Or do we just see a preview of what's coming next season?